helping us thrive. I often used to say, we need to treat your kid's ADHD. It's not like diabetes where if you'll die if you don't take insulin. But now I say, you know what? Actually, I do worry that your child has a higher risk of dying. And I was just at a conference where they presented the risk of mortality at the different age points of untreated ADHD. And kids under 6, I think it was like almost a 5 times increased risk if you didn't treat their ADHD, probably because of accidents, right? And getting hurt. The 6 to 12-year-olds, it went down a little bit, but it was still twice the risk of mortality for every year you lived without your ADHD treated. And then when you get like 18 plus, it's like a 40 times increased risk of mortality every year if you're not treating your ADHD. So we really need to diagnose it and then treat it. And treatment isn't just medication. It is, adjusting the environment to reduce distractions, to make it safer. And it's also doing those behavioral strategies, right? So giving breaks, allowing movement, positive reinforcement for positive behaviors. So treating ADHD well with that combination will significantly reduce those morbidities. A diagnosis can be life-changing, not just for the person, but their family. Research shows that medication remains the single most effective intervention and is successful for approximately 70 to 80% of people. For the past 75 years, science has supported the safety and efficacy of medication for all age groups. What the medication does is it increases dopamine in the brain. And dopamine is the neurotransmitter we use to access various parts of our brain, including our prefrontal cortex, which is where our flexibility, our impulse control, and our emotional control centers live. So if we can access that part of our brain better, we can control our impulses and our emotions a little bit better. We're not so reactive when someone doesn't want to play our way or, breaks the rules or we lose. So that medication helps give him better control over his emotions and his impulses, which is so positive for kids when they aren't the kid that's always yelling or fighting or getting into trouble, right? They can feel calmer in their bodies. And I love it when kids feel that way when they take their medication.
My oldest son went from being unable to complete a math worksheet without somebody sitting there, like keeping him focused on it, to actually enjoying school. Like he went from being like, I don't like school, to being like, oh, I actually do like it, because school is not made for people with ADHD.
I find that my organization skills would not be there without medication. I think I needed that little oomph to create those pathways. Those pathways weren't there.
There is something to be said about how medication can make life bearable, and it can be the difference between a person growing up and being able to find an area that they thrive in, and somebody who basically just grows up thinking that they are lazy, unmotivated, unworthy, all of these terrible things. It is the difference between your child being able to develop those self-regulation practices and looking to external ways of self-regulating. People talk about it as though you're literally giving your child methamphetamines, when your child is statistically more likely to start self-medicating with alcohol and any other manner of drugs, because we just need to quiet it down. We need to be not running on like sheer adrenaline and dread all the time. We need to not be running with these stress hormones at peak levels all the time.
I have 2 boys with ADHD, totally different. I've got a distractor boy and a force of nature is how I call them, and both take medication. And it was life-changing when we put them on the medication. We found the right one because they were calm, they were present, they could do so much better and feel so much better about themselves with that medication. Now they're older. My eldest is 22 and my youngest is 19. My eldest takes his medicine every day. He's a welder. It helps him. He knows it helps him. He likes the benefit of it. My younger one knows he's a little bit more sedate and he's a little bit less sparkly when he's with friends and, out there. So he won't take it unless he's doing school or sports or, other activities that he knows the medicine helps. And it helps reduce his impulsivity and it helps improve his focus. But he also appreciates his brain not on medication. I mean, he identifies as, I was born with this. So I got to choose. Am I going to be the non-ADHDer today or I'm going to be the ADHDer today? And feed those strengths that come with ADHD. Or am I going to know I need to sort of be in better control because I got to do things that don't totally interest me. So I've got to be able to focus on that. So yeah, that choice of using the medication and seeing what it benefits is really important. I really encourage kids to tell me what you feel when you take that medicine, right? Do you notice the difference? What do you feel? Do you like that difference? So that kids can learn how it helps and make those choices. There's absolutely a lot of worry about medication. I mean, I think any parent should think hard before putting their child on any medication, right? Even giving them Tylenol or, for a headache. So it is something that really should be thought about. But a lot of people think either the pills are going to be, kids are going to become dependent on those pills, or it's going to lead to addiction down the road because people hear amphetamine and think that I'm giving their child meth, and I'm not, but they, hear about these medications and think that there's that risk for addiction or dependence. Or, I mean, when they initially came out, they were lumped in with narcotics. And so a lot of prescribers worry that they're giving narcotics out, and they've gotten so much information about being safe and smart with narcotic prescribing that there's so many rules around stimulants, when in fact they're not narcotics, and we know that now, but there's a lot of rules to prescribe them, and so people are pretty hesitant to give them as well. I also think there's a bit of a stigma that if we just give that pill, that's it. We fixed it. We don't need to do anything else. And some parents worry that teachers aren't going to support their child if they put them on medication. And so they don't want to do that, or they worry that child isn't going to learn skills if I put them on medicine. Life's going to become too easy for them, and they're not going to learn how to, sit down and work or, get a big project done.
There's a lot of people who think, oh, well, you're just drugging your kid because you don't want to discipline them. That was one that was a big thing for me because, I tended to be a more strict parent in a lot of ways. And if anybody could have disciplined ADHD out of a child, it probably would have been me. But that's not how it works. You can sit there and at what point are you going to say that, taking medication is better than screaming at your kid and yelling at your kid and making your kid feel terrible?
Everybody's opinion's different about medication. I don't feel like I need it every day. But I also plan my day so that they're not as stressful as they used to be. I've learned to take on a little bit less so that I could work at a pace that's better for my health.
Lasting progress comes from combining medication with the right tools, supports, and understanding, such as accommodations, parent and family support, coaching and life skills training, cognitive behavioral therapy, educational support, occupational therapy, sleep management, and lifestyle change.
Exercise is really important. Watching what you eat is really important. Getting enough sleep is very important. Maybe if you can factor in some meditation, it's really important. All these help. These help get you to a point where you're not feeling the highs and lows anymore because you're really taking care of your body. And I'm not sure if that's typical for most people, but I know for me, if I'm not taking care of all these aspects of my life, I really feel it.
Research shows that ADHD is present on its own in only 10% of cases. These co-occurring disabilities can create complex clinical presentations that demand nuanced care and make diagnosis more intricate. Some examples of co-occurring disabilities include anxiety disorders, depression, learning disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, sleep disorders, bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and sensory processing difficulties. The most successful treatment plans evolve over time, adjusting as the individual's needs change throughout different life stages.
My hope is that I've given my kids the tools to be successful, to be able to chase and achieve their dreams. My hope for our ADHD is that it's recognized and that other parents don't have to struggle as much as I have. The path to having a successful life shouldn't be so hard.